Remarks that California Congresswoman and progressive hero Maxine Waters recently made about HUD Secretary Ben Carlson. During a speech on Saturday in New Orleans, Waters said that when Carlson appears before her congressional committee, quote, "I'm going to take his ass apart," excuse me. Quote, "Carlson knows nothing about the mission of HUD," Waters continued. "He doesn't care about people in public housing. He believes that if you are poor, it is your fault, and he doesn't know the difference between an immigrant and a slave," whatever that means. Now, we've mocked Maxine Waters before on this show, but we should take her seriously on this subject. Congresswoman Waters is a confirmed expert on the question of housing, especially her own housing. Consider where she lives, in a 6,000 square foot, $4.3 million mansion in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Now, how'd she afford a place like that after having spent the last 40 years working in government? We'd hate to speculate. How does she keep getting reelected despite not living in her own congressional district? No clue there either. The district Waters actually represents in Congress has the second highest percentage of African-American residents in the state of California. Now, the neighborhood where Waters actually lives is just 6% black, or as she might put it herself, if she didn't live there, it's segregated, like 1950s level segregated. And as we mentioned, it's really, really rich. So how did Maxine Waters pull off a housing coup like that? Who knows, but it almost qualifies her to be HUD Secretary herself. Well, the Sanders clan is lawyered up. Federal agents reportedly are investigating whether Jane Sanders, the wife of Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, committed fraud by lying on a loan application for Burlington College, which she ran from 2004 to 2011 and went under not long after that. Senator Sanders says this is all a witch hunt orchestrated by one man, attorney Brady Tenzing, who's managed Trump's presidential campaign in the state of Vermont. Is that true? Is it a witch hunt? We decided to ask the man himself. Brady Tenzing joins us tonight from Burlington, Vermont. Brady, thanks a lot for coming on.
Tucker, thanks for having me.
So let's get to the basis of the claim. So there was a story a couple of days ago touted by the Sanders campaign or office that the person who supplied the notion, who told you originally that Jane Sanders committed fraud on a loan application, in fact was passing on hearsay, and therefore, says Senator Sanders, this whole claim is false. How do you respond to that?
Well, thanks for bringing that up, because there's been quite a bit of confusion over that issue. Now, there's two aspects to this claim. The first one came about as a result of a letter that I sent to the United States Attorney that presented facts that were called from Public Records Act requests, and those facts were analyzed. Right. And then after that, there was quite a bit of reporting done by excellent reporters at 7 Days and Vermont Digger. Those are firmly based on facts and figures and analysis. There was a later bit of evidence that came to me after the school closed, where a state legislator told me that a bank executive told him that the Sanders office interfered with the loan, and as a result of that interference, the bank wrote the loan conditions so stringently that the college failed.
Huh. Okay, so that is not even related to what I understood the court claim to be, that Jane Sanders borrowed more than the college could hope to ever repay, and in fact was not able to repay it and went under as a result, and that constitutes fraud. Is that true, do you believe?
Well, all right, so Jane Sanders bought a huge piece of property from the Catholic diocese. In order to buy that property, right, she had to borrow $10 million, 6.5 from the bank, about 3.5 from the Catholic diocese. Now, in order to get those loans, she had to confirm guaranteed donations of $2.6 million. Of that 2.6, the school was only able to collect about 25%.
So does that constitute fraud, do you believe?
Well, it certainly is something that needs to be looked at. And of the confirmed donations, 3 of the donors have come forward to say that the school overstated their pledge amounts.
Ooh. So here's what I don't understand. I don't think anyone contests that Jane Sanders' tenure as the head of Burlington College was a disaster in the end for the school, which, as we said, no longer exists. She walked away with quite a bit of money. How did that happen?
When Jane Sanders was asked to leave by the board, she lawyered up back then and was able to extract a $200,000 golden parachute before she left.
How can you tank a college and then walk away richer?
That's a great question, Tucker. And if you look at who was harmed by this whole financial debacle, you can see the Catholic Church lost almost $2 million. The taxpayers of Vermont lost almost $150,000. The bank lost untold amounts of money, and the school went bankrupt. And so the students were harmed and vendors were harmed as well. But the Sanders, they were not financially harmed.
I don't think there's any contesting that. FBI investigation or not, I think what you said is factually supportable and shocking. And I'm glad that you're here to recount it for us. Brady, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.